things that I've learned to say because of meditation is I release what no longer serves me. And what I find is when I say that, and I say it especially to myself when I leave work, because we take on so much stuff. And like when you learn about who you are, like some people are empaths, some people are healers, some people are this, some people are that. And so sometimes you can take on so much of something, of a situation of another person that you don't realize that they've, really taken up space in your life. And the thing is, you might not even be with that person. The thing I said the other night to myself while I was meditating is, I said, I am the love that I seek. If I am alone, then I am enough. Loneliness is a toxic codependency for something that is outside of me. And that's hard to say for anybody. But the point of it was, and I said, and since I realize now that love and money are energy that I can either cultivate or kill, I'm cultivating that. So my thing was, I call back to me all the love that I gave that was mishandled, abused, not needed in that person, because, I'm not with certain exes and they've moved on with their life, but they don't need the love that I gave them. And because that's my energy, I want my energy back.
Welcome to the Love Is Podcast with your host, that thorny chick, Karen KK Rose, and her co-host, the lovable a-hole. That's right, I said lovable, Mr. DK Walker, where they will be discussing love, relationships, family, life, sex, self-help, and what it takes to be a successful entrepreneur. Why? Because love is everything, and everything should be loved. Now to today's podcast.
Hello, everyone. It's your girl. It's that Thorny Chick, Karen KK Rose, alongside my co-host, the Lovable Asshole, DK Walker. DK, are you there?
I'm here. I'm hearing all my old man glory.
What does that mean?
Sometimes you just wake up and sometimes you wake up and you bounce out of bed and you're like, I feel good today. And some days you wake up and your bones be like, crick, crick, kick. Yeah, it's one of them days.
Then you might need to increase your Metamucil.
Yeah. That's a strong possibility. You know what I mean? That's what happens when you be backed up. Yeah. Strong possibility. Something got to go. Like when you start to get older in life, a couple of things, no matter how you feel as far as your energy, right? Mm-hmm. Your body is going to tell you your age. And if you've had a hard life, your body's really going to tell your age. And so I haven't had a hard life per se, but I have a physical job. And so that physical job is actually pushing me forward to an early retirement. Cause my body's like, yeah, how long can we do this? Like that ain't you no more, cuz that's not you. You're losing. You're running behind this trash truck is whipping your ass. All you think you do is come home, take a shower, and you fall asleep wherever you sit at after you got out the shower. True fact, by the way. I then got out of bed, because you got out the shower, some of the bed to dry off, laid back for a hot second, woke up, my wife was cuddling me. Like, what the hell? Where did the day go to? Hungry? Think about it, I'm hungry as shit. That's the only thing I woke up for, right? And I usually never go to sleep, you know what I mean? Because I always put because I don't sleep in the nude, right? Because I feel wrong. I feel free. Like, I'm supposed to feel free. I'm supposed to feel confined. Y'all probably like, what the hell is he going to? I'm not going nowhere with this conversation. I'm just letting you know when you get old, you just start doing certain things you don't normally do. Going to sleep naked is one of them. And it's not by choice. It's just because I'm too tired to put some drawers on.
So does that mean all of a sudden I'm going to start wearing clothes?
I don't know. How do you feel? Like you might sleep naked because you're a young freak. I don't. I sleep naked once every blue moon because I'm just old.
Listen, if all of a sudden now I get older and I'm start wearing clothes, I don't know, Jesus, we might need to we're gonna have to come to Jesus about this. Wait a minute.
I mean, it's a possibility, man. Like, for me, it's just like, even when I was younger, right? Like, I've never been a free balling person. Like, that's not I don't know why. But you have some people that will swear up and down, like, just the way to go. No. I need drawers around this ass.
No,
I need something holding my boys. Like, I roll over with my boys. It's family affair. I don't need you. I'm laying one way, my boys laying another way. I don't need that in my life, right? I need everybody together. When I do roll call, everybody's present and accounted for.
I mean, they don't detach in your sleep, sir.
I know they don't, but you just don't.
Unless y'all need to teach me a new trick. I mean,
no. I've watched too much porn, but that's one trick I've yet to. I haven't seen that one.
I'm about to say, no, listen, I'm definitely, when guy A, listen, all my kids, they always say my kids act like me. And I'm like, yeah, but they've picked up the worst of me though. Not in certain ways. Like, guy A is very anti-clothes.
But
My guy,
most kids are though, right? Most
yeah.
kids.
Yeah, but he's at the place now where he takes his diaper off. So when I say he's literally a nudist, he's literally a nudist.
But one thing I don't remember back to that age, but I do remember this. It's funny. I got a crazy story. Look, we was at my grandmother's house, and I was like, oh, because he just turned 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had to be. I'm gonna go 4 or 5, give or take. I come out the shower. I come out the tub of my grandmother's house, and like everybody over, like my mom, both my brothers, my grandmother, and a couple of aunts and some cousins. So we got a house full of people, right? So my mother finally get my bad ass in the tub, right? As a kid that age, only thing you want to do is play all day and just go to bed dirty, get up and play again. That's all you want to do. So my mother finally, corrals me, throws me in the tub, right? Now keep in mind, I'm in the country, Fayetteville, North Carolina, right? And this is before, they start to fix Fayetteville up. So this is way back in the day. So if I'm 51, if I'm 5 at the time, we're talking 46 years ago. Mother finally gets me in the tub. In the tub, I scrub up, get some soap in my eye, cry. She come check on me, boy. Stop whining. Get some soap out my eye. I dry off, put these on, and come out. Her words, exactly. Dry off, put these on, come out. Dry off, put these on, come out. Okay, all right. I got some of that and get the whole message. I dried off, right? And I came out.
Listen.
I came out that joint. Everybody died laughing. My mother's a brown skinned woman, but she turned beet red. And my uncle was over too, right? And so he was like, that's right, nephew. Let it hang, no matter it's hanging high. And so,
who is this, Uncle Fish?
No, it was my Uncle Lance. It was my uncle. He's just as crazy as his older brother, right? God bless and rest both of them. But so we all laugh. My mother, anytime she get embarrassed, of course she want to whip my ass because boy, just like his daddy, he don't got no shame. He don't got no shame, right? And so if my uncle stopped, like, you ain't gonna beat that boy for what? He ain't do nothing wrong. And so I'm running from her. She behind me, and I run to him. And so he grabbed his sister. Like, go ahead, Nettie. And then he pushed me. We'll put the clothes on, boy. And the whole family was down. My mother was just hot, just mad.
Oh yeah. You embarrassed her.
I'm like, I'm not understanding. I'm just being a kid, man. I'm just letting the boys get some air. You know what I mean?
Listen, guy A, the thing is, you got to catch him before he gets out the bathtub because he has no problem about getting in the bathtub. Loves a bath. You got to coerce him out. Now the thing is, while you coerce him out the bathtub and he finally decides to get out the bathtub, you have to corral him in the bathroom. Now, I don't always have the good sense to shut the door, or if I shut the door, he obviously is able to reach. He's like 3 something, like 3 feet something, like 3 feet, let's say 3'4". So he's a pretty tall kid. So he can reach the doorknob by himself. He'll let himself out. Next thing you know, it's a naked baby. Now, when he's at his pawpaw's house, his pawpaw lives in an apartment. He ain't got that far to run. In my house, I have a house. He's got stairs. This Negro will come out the bathtub and head downstairs like it ain't, and could care less about who is downstairs to see his naked behind and all his glory. And we'll stand there and we'll pick up a toy and play like
it ain't nothing.
Ain't nothing. He don't care. And listen, because he's my kid, I don't even care. My mom's like, I'm like, what am I going to yell and holler for? I come down the stairs. Listen, I drain the bathtub. I clean the bathtub. Let him stay naked. Bring the lotion and stuff downstairs. I'm like, come on. I'm no longer even in the process to flip out. Like, I'm like,
for what?
Right.
It's just a kid, right?
Because the truth of the matter is, I'm his Gigi, and his Gigi relatively does the same shit every day. Like, I take a shower, I stay upstairs. Sometimes I come back down in my pajamas. Sometimes I don't. And are there occasions where my aunt is in the living room? It has happened to the point, like the other day, my mom yelled downstairs because I was like late for work. I come flying down the stairs and into the basement. I hear her yell to my aunt, T, did she come downstairs with clothes on? She's like, yes. She goes, that's different. And I was like, well, what was, and in my mind, I'm like, what do you care if I did or I didn't? Because if I did, like, it's like I took all the fire out of her argument because I did come downstairs clothed. She was waiting for her to say no so she could have something to bitch about. And I'm like, what you gonna say now?
You be nice to your mother. That's what you need to do. Leave her alone.
She started with me. Listen, she started
nobody
with
want to
me.
see. Okay, it's cute, right? I'm assuming I was cute when I was a kid and I came out, right? I'm assuming that guy A is cute, right? I'm not saying you, but you're a grown woman. Another woman don't want to see another grown woman,
listen,
wet ass running around the house naked, right?
I'm not wet. I dry off in the bathroom. My hair probably is still wet. That's probably the only thing on.
All right. I'm gonna keep the thoughts to myself. Moving along between wet people and wet naked people. Let's move along. People. Yeah. Wet naked people.
So outside of that, everybody is good. The kids have gone back to school. Not Tuesday. Is it Tuesday? 25th? No, Monday. Monday is my 2-year anniversary in my house. I need to go get a bottle of champagne. So, and if it's 2 years in my house, it's almost our 1-year anniversary on the show.
Facts. They go hand
in hand. They go right behind each other. Yeah, I'm gonna call you drunk that day.
Well, no. That's the day I block you and delete you. Don't do that. Stop.
You gonna block and delete me?
Block and delete you.
Off social media or off of your phone?
You're not gonna call me drunk, psycho babbling. We're not doing that.
Psycho babbling? No. I'm gonna do my my Kamala impression again. Oh my God, we did it, Joe.
Oh Jesus! If y'all knew what I put up with, and y'all don't understand. Like I got more gray hairs, not from my doggone 11-year-old, right? Not from my doggone 20. How old is Tiana? 26, 20. I'll tell you in a hot second. Yep, 26. Not from my 26-year-old that's currently down in Florida living her best life on her own own terms. I had to give her a call today once I get off the podcast. I get most of my doggone gray hairs not from my wife that stays with the honey-do list at the ready. Nope. I get most of my gray hairs from my goddamn co-host. I promise you.
I can't help it that I wake up and I choose violence, sir. I can't help that. That's
you wake up and you choose crazy. You just, I'm going to go with crazy today is what I'm going to do. I'm going to adhere to all things in lunacy is how I'm going to proceed out today. And I'm going to start that day with bothering my doggone, wonderful doggone co-host is what I'm going to do. You mean
the one that I leave on red? That one?
Yeah, that one.
It drives
so, and then when you don't get the effect, then you okay. Now I'm gonna leave them on red. Like really, she just this is where we at.
I don't get the response I want. Then I just leave you on red for 2 days, and then be like, oh,
right.
You didn't see my message from Tuesday? What's today? Thursday. Oh, hold on. Listen, please hold. Scroll.
Please hold. And she got to scroll. Like it's no need to scroll. It's the last thing that's there. There's no need to scroll. The last thing is there because you ain't even. I didn't say nothing. You didn't say nothing. We stuck at an impasse. I'm like, what? I'm surprised we made it this damn long on we're like, really? Like, we're going to do a lot of things. And we've been talking about promising the people delivering on a lot of things, right? But one thing we will never do, now you have my word on this, faithful listeners, one thing we will never do is actually write a book or give advice on communication. Because the communication between me and my co-host sucks. We ain't gonna never talk about how to effectively communicate. Now, me personally, I may do that. So I may get on IG and do a live rant about communication because communication is the foundation to all great relationships, right? That's my new thing.
I need you to put it on a t-shirt. I really do. That's your new tagline.
What? Communication?
Mm-hmm.
The foundation to all, effective communication is the foundation to all great relationships, right? And that's the truth, whether it be business, relationship, whatever. Like if you're not communicating your needs, your wants, your viewpoints, and not in an argumentative mode, but just getting your point across or at least getting your point understood, then you're always going to be at an impasse with that person that you're trying to, reach some sort of medium with, right? So with that being said, don't you call me drunk. You know what I mean? Once that 1-year anniversary hits, don't you call me drunk once you've been 2 years in your house. Congratulations, by the way. Don't you call me drunk.
I don't call anybody that day. I don't. I come home, I pop the champagne, I pour myself a glass, I take this one to my mom.
You lying to the people. You
don't. I call when I go?
No. It ain't about who you did it in that call. Oh. So you talking about you come home, you pull. You take the bottle to the head.
Well, okay, that's true. I pour a glass out for my mother, take it to her, and then
the rest you take to the head.
Yeah, the rest I take to the head. That's true.
A glassy-eyed she devil at its finest. glassy eyed.
Listen, they don't call me the bald-headed hoe shit queen for nothing.
I'm trying to tell you, man.
Listen, the hair just finally, caught up to the whole life
shenanigans.
Yeah.
Right.
The hairstyle finally caught up to the shenanigans. That's all there was. So outside of, Gavin being attacked by the dog and us dealing with that and Guy A turning 3, there's really not much going on in the bald-headed hoe shit lifestyle. I did learn how to meditate. It's kind of been my new thing for the last 30 days. I got told at work that I look very calm and zen. And then one of my girlfriends said to me the other day, she goes, in spite of everything that you're going through, because I have some other things, just life stuff going on. She's like, you really just looked happy. You looked like you were glowing. I was like, well, I'm definitely not pregnant. Thank God for that. But it's nice to know that when you try to, improve yourself, that others see it, because I feel like a lot of times we try to, so do a lot of self-improvement, a lot of self-care, and people find it, because people are so prone to call you selfish in a negative way, that if I take time for myself, if I try to improve me, then I'm doing something wrong, and it's not it. And so because we're so trained to be, for the likes, for the applause, that, we want somebody to see it, that will almost stop doing what's best for us. We'll cut our nose off to spite our face because somebody else doesn't see our quote unquote worth or see our work. And it's like, I'm really not doing it for you guys. I'm thankful that you guys do see it, because it, training yourself to meditate and really, getting into the place where I'm understanding, aligning my chakras and what this frequency and that frequency means. And it does cause a lot of conversation when you are what DK likes to call me, a Bible thumper. So when you're raised in a Christian household, and now all of a sudden you're tapping into enlightenment.
Right.
It raises eyebrows.
Right. So, and I want to ask a question. How does that align with how you were raised, right? Because that's not typical spirituality with far as, meditation, chakra, saging,
smudging. Mm-hmm.
Right. And all that stuff there. So how does that align how you were raised, and how were you able to actually, I guess, gravitate towards that? And what happened to prayer? Did you find prayer working not as effectively as you liked? Or what gives? What's the 411?
The thing about how I meditate, honestly, is I do my devotion like I would any other day. And before I really go into meditating, I pray. I'll tell God, I say, God, from a place of gratefulness, I thank you for my life. I thank you for this day. I thank you for how you lead me and guide me, how you protect me, how you keep my kid, how you protect my kids, and, all those kind of things. And then I go into really, meditation for me is your affirmations, the things that you tell yourself anyway. But I just feel like when you're in meditation, because you've caused yourself to be still, because you've caused yourself to really kind of go inward, you really get that space where you're like, I am healthy. I am wealthy. I am blessed. I am protected. I manifest greatness. I manifest money. I do not chase. I attract. You really begin to really believe that, because meditation really is cutting the outside world off, because the truth of the matter is we are taught that, that we are the temple, that we are God, that God is in us rather. And so with that, we don't know how to tap into that, because I feel like churches promote religiosity, but not spirituality. There's nothing in the...
So what's the difference? I'm sorry. I just want to make sure people catch that.
Religiosity is holding you to every word in the Bible. And the thing is, the word of God came by spirit, came through. The thing is, it's like the Bible originally is written in one language and has been translated however many times. Well, guess what? There's a reason why it's called lost in translation, because every language has a different word for a different thing. Case in point, the word homosexual wasn't introduced into language until 1842, and that was by the Germans. It was never in the Bible, the word homosexual. So we've built a whole quote unquote religious standpoint of how we hate a certain group of people, but there's no real Bible basis about it. Sodom and Gomorrah was demolished because of sin, not necessarily homosexuality, because there wasn't a word for it. Yes, the Bible does say man should not lay with man, but there are words that get lost in translation because we're not exactly sure how it started.
Okay, cool, not a problem. Help me to, and we're not gonna. This is not a Bible class. I'm just,
no,
since right. But since you brought this up, there's some things that clarity, right? So you say in the Bible that it says man should not lay with man, but didn't David, because David was on the, was it, yeah, David? Yeah, David, if not, and correct me if I'm wrong, right? Because I'm not as student of the Bible as I once was. That doesn't mean I'm not a strong believer, because God is the head of my life. I promise you when I tell you I would not be here if it wasn't for his grace and mercy, right? And forgive me if I don't know the Bible as well as I should, but what wasn't David being chased because, you know, him and Saul had something going on or something to that effect? Or David got chased to the woods with something, and he's something about he kissed somebody, which was a man, like a woman would lovely kiss, you know, something to that effect. So could you help me out?
I know he laid with Bathsheba, and that was Uriah's wife.
I get that, but there's also he did something else because he was running from another king,
I
right?
know.
Before he became,
yeah.
And he had dealings with that king's son.
Something along those lines, yeah. So there.
So how is it in one instance that he had dealings, and when I say dealings, not necessarily masculine, that's my man, that's my ace coon, that's my brother. Like he didn't have them type dealings, right? He had other dealings. You know, if I'm understanding what I read correctly with the king's son, and that's why the king wanted to kill him. So on one hand, God chosen. Think about that, people. I said that's come. You got to really like distance yourself from what you believe to be true, into just acceptance of people, because we're not God, right? And this is not the Bible thumping episode. It's not. It's just bringing clarity to the obvious that people are scared to speak on. Because if you go to church, you're going to hear about 10 sermons throughout the whole year, and it's all about deliverance and overcoming. Like it's all about, I need you to feel good by the time you leave, right? Because you know you can get this feel good story at. So when you come back next Sunday, I got another feel good story for you, right? But you hear, and I'm not judging. I just want people to be factual. You keep hearing the same. It's like so much more of the Bible never gets discussed, but people are asked to learn their Bibles. But when the people that's in charge say, no, I need you to learn a certain section because it's all I'm talking about. I need you to feel good to keep coming back. I'm not going to teach you about how my man, and we talking about homosexuality is wrong, but King David, you know what I mean, had dealings that wasn't necessarily manly with another man. And then we talking about, like, that don't even make sense. So what are we saying? God don't
say it's not manly, because
say again?
I said, not to say that it's not manly. They just had an interaction, but nobody, the thing is this, the Bible never comes out exactly and says what that meant. So
I think it was left for an interpretation. I think he kissed him like a woman. He kissed him like he would kiss a woman. What does that say?
Well, that part, but I mean the laying part, because it was the week before Easter Sunday. My mom came home and we were talking. I told her about this homosexual part, and so she was like, "Huh?" And I said, "And so my thing is this: in the Bible, you know, the only animal that spoke was the donkey." So I said, "How did a serpent then speak to Eve about an apple? Was a serpent actually a serpent? Was it?" Because I said, you know, I've heard theories that Eve was in the likeness of Lucifer's love interest in heaven. And then Lucifer was a shapeshifter, appeared to Eve as a woman. Because I said, honestly, Mom, that makes more sense, because women relate to other women. We don't relate to, I don't say we don't relate to men unless we're trying to flirt, but it's easier to relate to another woman because women, you know. So I said, who's to say? So now I literally have got my mother, who is a severe Bible thumper, like severe. Her pastor is African. So, you know, she's staunch. She's very particular about prayer and things like that. So it's very funny to me. But you should see the wheels in her head, like turning. And I promise to God, I was sitting on the couch on a regular Sunday with my feet propped up on the coffee table, scrolling through TV, trying to find something to watch. And I said it in a very, you know, like when I'm talking or I'm asking something, I'm very monotone about it. I was very monotone. I wasn't excited. Just how I'm talking right now. It's like, and who's to say? She's like, and where did Easter come from? I said, Easter is a pagan holiday created by such and such. I said, so truthfully, it just came from Cadbury. She's like, Cadbury? I said, Easter eggs, Mom, Cadbury. She's like, you're funny. She was like, this child of mine. But back to the whole question about meditation and, you know, spirituality versus religiosity. There's nowhere in the, you know, the Bible does say to meditate both day and night on who God is and on his word. And so meditation for me is been helping me kind of channel my energy, giving validation not only to who I am, but to where I want to go and to better manage me. I will say that meditation has, in the last 30 days, had me face a lot of what I will call the dark side of me, not so much, not what like people who meditate and things like that call shadow work, which is dealing with your demons. I don't feel like I'm prepared for that yet, nor do I want to go down that rabbit hole because I don't know what that opens. And, you know, one thing we've said before is once you open Pandora's box, you can't, you know, necessarily put the lid back on. But there are some things that I don't think that I knew were affecting me, things that I didn't know that were bothering me. And so it's been good for me. So definitely dealing with some things that past traumas, things on it, basically things of that nature. So do I feel like I'm in a better place? Definitely. These last 30 days have been amazing. I cannot be more thankful than to tap into who I am. And really, I feel like when you become more spiritual, you have a better relationship with God. I honestly think that I kind of was like anxious about church opening back up. Like I was like ready for it. Like just let's go. And then the other part of me is like, maybe we shouldn't. So I was eager and anxious at the same time. So I'm like, let's go. And then I'm like, because I do work in a ER and I see this every day, maybe not. So one of the things our pastor said before we left, that had the last service, over a year ago now, was, you know, that your relationship with God would increase. And so however you commune with God is really up to you. And you got to find what works for you. Some people are nature people. Some people are meditation people. Some people are yoga people. Some people are, you know, they can work out and have a conversation with God. Some people write and can talk to God. Like it just, however you cultivate your relationship.
Right. And I think that's what's wrong with people. Like you can't, I don't think anybody should be told how to connect, right? Because it's your own personal, right? Like at the end of the day, one person's interpretation is just that, their interpretation. And so that works for them. And that's the way that they live their life, and other people that's there. So I think within the freedom of all things, you just have to do that, you know, freely express your freedoms in your relationship with God. Point blank. Like it's not judgment for anybody else, right? I've said this numerous times on past podcasts. Like I don't care how a person lives their life, as long as you're not harming anybody else. Like, cause you got to take it up to God created the day that you die. You have to atone for your sins, whether you want to call them sins or you call them bad seeds that you sow, however you want to quantify wrongful, what we understand wrongful actions to be. However you want to quantify that, cause you can't do one thing, you reap what you sow. Now, no matter what you believe, no matter what religion, like, I don't care. You're going to reap, whether it's good or bad, right? You're going to reap what you sow.
Say karma is real, whatever you call that.
Right. Whatever you call it is coming back to you, right? And so just having that little bit of knowledge, I live my life through that way. I try my best to reap as much positivity so I can get back that. And to be honest, that's worked, you know, great for my life. Not necessarily standing and being, you know, as I joke with current Bible thumper, just knowing that always doing right when I can't do right. And there was a point in time in my life I've done horrific wrong. Now, am I using these last remaining years to make up for that horrific wrong? Who knows? But it just serves me better just to always walk on the side of light than to walk in the side of dark. I feel at peace. I'm not at, and just being me. I'm comfortable in my skin. I don't got to use it to see me or to hear me. And if you was to meet me and then have interaction, you would feel like I've known you since, because I'm the same dude. Like I don't have to put on no airs. Like this is me. Like I'm still going to be crazy. I'm still going to say some wild cowboy. I'm still going to be myself unapologetically. Right. And I think, you know, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of the podcast here in a second, but you know, quick message of the day to whomever is listening is like, just be yourself. Like it's a hard job to even think about being somebody else. It's already bad enough to be yourself. So master being yourself, and I promise you everything else will work out fine.
Listen, I like me and your like is extra. And the whole thing is, you know, like I said, you know, and I kind of knew that I know at some point there's going to be some conversation about my religiosity is going to be called to the carpet. And I know that. And I particularly don't care about that part, because I do have, I'm wearing a rose quartz necklace, which rose quartz is supposed to increase your abundance and increase your love. I have a chakra anklet, and then I have this new beautiful warrior bracelet that I have on. That were commissioned pieces by a girl here. I'll shout her out on my Instagram page, about that. My mom is like, you know, She's like, the Baptists are going to think you're going too far. And I said, that's fine. I said, but my thing is this, am I happier? Am I better? Am I making myself better? Isn't that the whole point? Like, to love my fellow man more than what I do. I said, and I clearly wasn't doing that, just going to church on Sunday in Bible class. And I teach in children's ministry. I clearly was missing something. And now that I've found whatever works for me, then that's what I'm going to continue to do until Jesus tells me otherwise. And that's just the end all to be all.
Facts on facts on facts on facts. Yeah, at the end of the day, you just got to be true to you, no matter what you're going through. And I applaud you because you've been actually, lack of better words, indoctrinated with, the way that you're supposed to have a relationship with God. And it speaks volumes of you to step outside of that, because there was I'm assuming, and please correct me if I'm wrong, there was an inner turmoil because you wasn't getting your desired results, because there was more for you to do. And for now, as you're meditating and praying and then being accepting of other ways of having, communication with God, now you feel more better and at ease, which may be a direct conflict with the way that you were brought up. But once again, this is your life.
Exactly. And the thing is this, I said, if I noticed that one of the things that I've learned to say because of meditation is I release what no longer serves me. And what I find is when I say that, and I say it especially to myself when I leave work, because we take on so much stuff. And like when you learn about who you are, like some people are empaths, some people are healers, some people are this, some people are that. And so sometimes you can take on so much of something, of a situation of another person, that you don't realize that they've, really taken up space in your life. And the thing is, you might not even be with that person. The thing I said the other night to myself while I was meditating is, I said, I am the love that I seek. If I am alone, then I am enough. Loneliness is a toxic codependency for something that is outside of me. And that's hard to say for anybody. But the point of it was, and I said, and since I realize now that love and money are energy that I can either cultivate or kill, I'm cultivating that. So my thing was, I call back to me all the love that I gave that was mishandled, abused, not needed in that person, because, I'm not with certain exes and they've moved on with their life, but they don't need the love that I gave them. And because that's my energy, I want my energy back because I need that love for me. Not because I hate them or have any animosity, but it's energy. I want my energy back. I want all that's positive to come back to me, period.
Facts. It's a good look. We've
Thanks.
been down, not a problem. We've been down this rabbit hole for a minute. So with that being said, let's climb up this rabbit hole. Weenie asked what was going. Weenie asked what's going. It don't even matter what's going on with me. Ain't nothing new. Like I'm still.
You gotta go clean the house. That's what's going on with you. Dickie gonna come down there and knock on the door and knock all your stuff over again if you don't get that house clean.
What's crazy? Like, because we had recorded an early podcast with a family member. She's no longer a friend to the podcast. And remember when Rocco was going crazy?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. This is crazy. Like, and so I heard my wife talking to somebody, and I said hello to let people know that they can make noise now, because my family's usually good about being quiet, right? And so I used the bathroom. True story. And this just happened. I used the bathroom, washed my hands, and my wife had put some new soap in the soap dispenser down in the bathroom, right? And I was like, this smells good, right? And I opened up the doggone door, and standing right there before me is my mother-in-law. I screamed like a white female in a Jason movie. Ah! True story. And she said, and she's looking at me like, really? I'm like, yeah, really. And the first words out of her mouth, well, I'm glad that it smells good, man. We died laughing, man. It's just like, I knew somebody was here by the way my dog was acting. Yeah, I thought it was two things, because like he goes crazy when the doorbells rang. So I'm gonna just assume that was just packages, right? But it wasn't. It was actually, his nanny making a surprise visit. So right. So I will get around the cleaning. I doubt if that happens. I'll touch the house up is what I'll do. But that's pretty much about it. I'm tired, boss. You got to get it clean, lady. I am tired, boss.
Well, we're gonna move on to bald-headed hoe shit awards. A bald-headed hoe shit award.
You're supposed to keep going.
It's your randomness of music. Today's award is going to Janet Mock. She is the transgender advocate that uses her platform and skills that she's cultivated as a journalist to bring marginalized stories to the forefront. She's actually directing. She wrote and directed the episode of the show Pose that will be airing on Fox here pretty soon. They're coming back for their final season. But that is going to be her show. She has written 2 memoirs about her own experience. Her first was a bestseller from the perspective of a young trans person. She also uses the hashtag Girls Like Us to foster a sense of community online for trans women. 5 years ago, she founded the hashtag Trans Book Drive to let LGBTQ, and there's a letter, I think it's A now. So all the letters, please do not come after me. I don't know all of them. So sorry. Books into the hands of trans prisoners. So shout out to Janet Mock. She is on Instagram, and we'll be tagging her. You can find her, like I said, at hashtag Girl Like Us or hashtag Redefining Realness.
Facts. Yeah, that's a big shout out. You know what I mean? Appreciate you doing what you're doing. And thank you for giving away, you know what I mean, the much sought after Bald Headed Hoe Shit Awards.
Absolutely. I love her work on Pose, the show. If you guys have not tapped into that, you can find it wherever shows are streaming. It's actually Billy Porter is on that show. So if you guys have obviously not been living under a rock, you know, he gets a lot of flack for his
live, like, once again, whether you agree, disagree, just live your life.
Like, yeah, you know, but he gets a lot of flack for his outfits. That's what I was
right.
Say.
I'm not. Don't get me wrong. Right. I seen it. And I'm gonna keep it a buck, right? Because I'm not gonna act like I'm not that guy. But you know, I seen it. I was put off for a second because I mean, not only was he in your face, except me talking about Billy Porter as is, right? He was just in your face and he like loud with it. And then I had to stop and regroup. Like, but that's my man. It has nothing to do with me, the way he lives his life. And what he's doing is making him happy, man. By all means, find the best outfits, find the brightest colors. No, notice I ain't saying nothing about no suit and tie. I told him to go find the best outfits that gonna put a smile on his face and put joy in his heart. Go live your life, man. Like, you know, if you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you're wrong. But at the bottom, at the end of the day, it's your life. You get to choose how you want to go live it.
Yeah. And then the thing is, I feel like for Billy Porter, like, he's so talented. And, you know, to see not only us as a Black culture, you know, kind of pick him apart before sexuality or what he chose to wear, it goes against, you know, how creative he is. And it's like, what does it matter what he puts on his body? It's clothes. If you put it on, you might not look, you know what I'm saying?
Right. Because I can't do one and I can't do other. There's something we got to do, and people are going to feel a certain type of way. So, okay. I have no problem with whomever, right? And I'm not saying this in a pacifying way, right? I've had one of my brothers, my middle brother, has been gay his whole life. Like, but he's my brother before his choice in the way that he identifies his sexuality. So I don't like that shit. Don't move me. No, like it don't. Stevie always gonna be Stevie. He's always going to be my heart. In my darkest times, when I looked around in the room and didn't see nothing but a face full of strangers, I seen his face and I knew, you know what I mean? Everything is gonna be all right, right? Everything is gonna be all right. So I need people to hear me when I understand this. I don't have no problem how people decide to live their lives, but in the very near future, and it may be a pointed conversation, I do want to look at how, you know, Black males are portrayed far as their sexuality, right? I do want to look at that on a podcast. And I'm not judging, right? I just think that everybody needs to walk in their own light and everybody needs to be given their own time to shine. My only hang up with the whole, and not going down this rabbit hole, because this rabbit hole we go down forever in a day. My thing is, I don't think our kids need to be subjected. You know what I mean? Let them make their choices at an early age. I don't think they need to be watching, you know, the cartoons come on and then there's, you know, innuendo, right? Or they're seeing something that's going to make them question. At least give us parents first, you know, chance to have a conversation with our kids. So preparing them to make their own choices. Cause like kids at a young age is uber impressionable, and they'll see something, not fully realizing or understanding their own bodies. And then they may take hold to something, not understanding like, oh, I'm going this because it's popular and not because this is true who I truly am to be. And that's the only hang up I got, right? Whether we do a podcast about that or not. Like I said, whomever's doing their own thing, by all means, live your life, live your truth. Now, people are going to take what I said out of context. I'm not tripping. I promise you. Like, it's kind of hard to cancel somebody my age because I cut off the internet and I'm going to sleep. I'm not anti anything. I'm just pro about being, you know, aware of what we subject our kids to, right? At such an early age. Now, if your kid happens to identify, know where they're at an early age, I think that everybody should, take a page out of Dwayne Wade's book and then champion their kid on, because their kid made a conscious decision and effort to identify who they were at an early age. But if your kid hasn't, you got to be really careful what you subject them to. Like, give them time to figure their own selves out. And then whatever they choose to be as they grow up, then you support them. You know what I mean? Because they're yours. Because you would want somebody to love you, in your darkest times, right? You don't want to feel, less than love, especially like your house is your refuge. You don't want to, at all places, when you step foot through your front door, you want to feel like I'm home. And home is another word for safe.
Right. And it's interesting. We're going down this, we're going to end this and get into the meat and potatoes of it. But my cousin came out as gay. And so she, and again, I come from a Bible thumping family. So they're very strict, very, Bible believing. And I remember my godmother was living at the time, and she turned to me and so I walked in the house and they were having a conversation about it. So she said, let me hear this woman's perspective. Because the thing about me is I've always been the wild card. I've always been the rebel child. Like, I will go to church and not wear stockings on purpose. I will go to church and question everything. I've always been that child. I've always been inquisitive. I've always had a thing about, being defiant, I guess, maybe. But I always want to know the why. I've always been the why child. Well, why do we do it this way? Why do we have to do it that way? And she turned to me and she said, Karen, she says, Erica's gay. How do you feel about it? And I said, why should I feel anything? She's like, well, what we believe. I said, yes, we believe that God is love. And I said, if we as her family won't love her, why would I expect the world to? I said, never did God tell me to judge somebody about their sexuality, their lifestyle, least you be judged. I said, nowhere did God tell me to judge a homosexual. Never in this life has he said that. Never from Genesis to Revelation. So I said, if we as her family won't love her, then why do I expect somebody else to?
Facts.
So that's my, my stick on it. So my thing is, we got to get a lot of love to people. Like, like you said, if you're living if you're living in love and light and you're doing nothing that is harming somebody else, by all means, rock out. And the thing about our kids, you got to let them figure it out on their own. But listen, stop letting them watch so much damn TV anyway. It's trash. It's all trash.
I promise
all
you.
Trash. Get them some financial literacy books. Get them some Black history books. Get them on a path that's going to make them some money. So when they are 18, they can decide whether or not they want to go to college or not.
You supposed to keep going.
I've learned.
Right.
Sensei.
But nah, it's crazy that you say that, and we didn't even touch the meetup. Like we gotta. Okay. All right, I'm gonna stop on this one. I promise y'all, we're gonna get to where we're going to, right? But thank you for listening so far, right? Because we get on these tangents, and it'd be so good that actually every tangent we get on this podcast worthy, right? But I'll say this, this is the thing. My daughter's 11 going on 55, her old soul having ass. But when she gets into a childlike, because she is nothing but a kid, right? So I told her, right? I was like, so when I see her just lounging, not doing nothing all day long, I say, you 11. What have you done today for your 20-year-old self? Like, what you're doing now, even at 11 years old, is going to impact the future you. So you got to at least, and this is for the next time we're talking about business and furthering oneself along. But I'm going to give a Jew early, and somebody take this and please and go run with it, especially if you got kids, right? You have to teach your kids to sow seeds, not, you sow seeds for the reaping of tomorrow. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to slow it down, right? I'm going to slow down, I promise you. You have to teach your kids to sow seeds of today for the reaping of tomorrow. Because if you think about it, if you teach a child how to be financially literate, if you teach them how to get money to work for them and not to work for money, if you teach them how stocks work, if you teach them how to be into ownership, if you teach these kids, I said kids, I didn't say adults, parents, if you teach your kids these things as kids, do you know the phenomenal life that they can have by the time they get to 20? You'll teach them not to be an employer, first of all, right? And they can go do what they want to. You can give them all this knowledge in the world and they can be the best burger flipper at doggone Burger King, right? But your job is to teach. What they do with it is all on them. But when it comes time, you're giving them, that escape plan from the rat race of the 9 to 5. But you got to instill that into them now. Don't just shove something electronic in their face so they can stop bothering you. Don't just shove the remote control in their hands so you can watch TV, mindless TV for hours on end. Give them something that's going to impact the young adult them. And they can be mad talking about you taking up all my time. Like me and my daughter, we going back and forth. But I told her, say, when you're 20 years old and you look at your bank account, you be like, damn, I'm doing well. You got your father to thank for that, right? And I expect you to do the same thing for my grandkids. No matter how much they look at you like they want to put foot in your ass, you be like, I promise you, whatever, and I hope she name her doggone son after me. If not, if I'm dead, I'm going to come back and horn her ass for not doing it. But anyway, I promise you that, as very vain of me, I know, but I promise you, if you get your kids on the path started right now, you don't have to worry about them. What happens is we just teach our doggone kids how to cope and get along because we feel, oh, it was okay for me. No. And I love my mother and father to life, but what they gave me knowledge from a limited source. What I want to give my kids, I want to give them something that's going to impact their lives. And then what they understand, they live their lives in time increments. So the 11 to 12-year-old Molly is going to sow many seeds that's going to be very beneficial to the 20-year-old Molly. The 20-year-old Molly is going to sow many seeds that's going to be beneficial to the 30-year-old Molly. And so what happens when she gets married, if she chooses to do so, and she has kids, if she chooses to do so, she'll put that back into them. And that's how you break the generational curses within the family. It ain't all about getting rich. I'm 51. I may not get there. As many plans as I just may not get there. I may go upstairs, lay down, and have the best sleep I ever had because it's an eternal sleep. It just may happen, right? But because I'm sowing those seeds, I'm guaranteeing that my doggone legacy will live on.
Facts. Black Mamba mentality right there.
To say the least. Anyway, we was real heavy on this podcast. So should we stay heavy? And then, because we was real heavy on this podcast with the people, right?
Listen, this is real life. This is who we are. So, I mean,
if that's the case, then we can actually keep going down this road, and then we, backdoor and do what we supposed to do with the other joint, because all we got is X amount, right? So, with that being said, let's, because you're pretty articulate and you're pretty, you can operate, and articulate, off the seat of your pants, or better yet, you can pull some out your ass, is what I'm trying to say nicely, right? So give me some practical ways that you're instilling in your kids and that other people, listeners, can instill in their kids, ways of, sowing seeds for their future selves.
I am having adult conversations with my kids. I've never been the type, I've said this before in podcasts, like I never liked the way my parents spoke to me and my sister. It was very I don't know if it's because they're foreigners, and I make jokes about them all the time, but because my parents are Jamaican, and Jamaicans are loud by nature, and Jamaicans have a very authoritative way. Because
your father does, and dismissive.
DK, talk to my dad.
Dismissive.
Right.
Yeah,
your father's they have a very authoritative and dismissive way. Yeah, dismissive way of speaking to people. And so a Jamaican woman is a little nicer about it, but it's the same. It's the same tone. It's the same tone. So I didn't like that because I felt like, and I think that's why I fight so hard now to be heard as an adult, like especially in relationships, in my business relationships and personal relationships, because I need to know that you hear me and you understand what I'm trying to articulate, because I don't like that miscommunication, and I don't like the misinterpretation of it is really what it is. I don't want you to feel like I'm trying to be brass or I'm trying to be harsh, and I'm not. I just need you to understand what I'm trying to get across. So with them, I have adult conversations with them. And so if they tell me things like they don't like the way I say something to them, I will maybe soften my tone depending on the situation. So I am telling them at this point in life, like, listen, you guys have an opportunity to figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life. Just like you told MJ. I said, Gavin wants to be an illustrator or some kind of graphic designer. And I said, okay, well then all these sketchbooks that I've bought you, all these markers that I've bought you, you need to be utilizing that instead of watching Ben 10 or what is he on now? He's not on Ben 10 anymore, but whatever show he's into right now that he literally binges, for hours on end. Instead of doing that 5 days of the week, 3 days of the week, you maybe binge, and 2 days you need to work on drawing. My niece wants to be a psychologist. I said, okay, well then you need to stop watching RuPaul's Drag Race on Hulu 5 to 7 days of the week. And you need to start reading about that stuff early, because you really need to know if this is really what you want to do, or at least give yourself a leg up. I said, because mental illness is a severe thing going on in this nation. And, for me working at the ER, it's affecting children more than it is adults. I see more kids come through our ER for psych evals. We see more children, and when I say children, I mean from the age under 18 being seen for some type of mental illness or some kind of mental break, and they're not getting, thank God for the ER that I work at because they get great service, but everywhere is not like that, and there's a lot of kids who really need help. So I said to her, you've got to really think this through. My daughter's 20-some years old. I keep my foot on her neck because she procrastinates. I'm like, listen, what are you doing? You could have X, Y, and Z, and you could have X, Y, and Z, but you choose to do what you want to do. I said, I'm not, and I do the DK line on them now. I'm not going to be here forever. I'm not always going to be able to figure this out for y'all. But I said, you do what you want to do. I have my own life to live. And I said, so not only am I physically not going to be here, one day I'm going to go to Jesus. And there's other days where I'm going to be touring with the Love Is podcast. I have things to do. I have my own dreams and goals that I have to attain to, that I have to atone for. And so when I go back to God, I can say, I live my life to my fullest. I used all my blessings. I used my voice. I used my platform. I used myself to the best ability to better mankind, period. So I tell them, like, y'all got to figure out what you're going to do. It's not, and sometimes they want to make it, grand. And I'm like, no, start small. I'm not asking you to have your life plan at 11, or 9 and 14, almost 15. And I'm just asking you to put something together that doesn't, need so much outside validation. That's all I'm asking for.
Cool. Anything else?
Again, I like the tone of conversations that we have. I like the fact that they know they can come to me with their stuff, and it's not it's not that I told you so or I'm telling you what to do. It's, I like the way that we communicate, and it's teaching them to be better communicators outside of me. So they know they can ask me, hard questions. I think I was telling you, or I told the podcast, Gavin had asked me about something, about a situation that was going on in our household. And I said, listen, it's not that we don't love them, but I can't put the keys of my happiness in somebody else's pocket, because one, happiness is fleeting. Happiness is as long as I serve you how you want to be served, as long as I give you candy, as long as I give you money, as long as I give you my attention, happiness is fleeting. Joy is what you need to seek. Joy, because joy is eternal. Joy is something that cannot be tampered with. Joy is something that cannot be manipulated. Happiness is temporary. It's as long as everything's going great, everything is grand, then you're happy. Happiness is fleeting. So I said in that same vein, I can't put the keys of my happiness, the keys of my joy to somebody else, because then they get to manipulate it and control it. And so he was like, you make a good point, Cakes. And I was like, why, thank you. I do try to make sense in this life. And so that's teaching him at 9 that he doesn't need to depend on somebody else to make him happy. He has to go within and make sure that he's okay with who he is at 9. So when he's 19 and getting in relationships, he ain't got to depend on nobody else. If somebody don't move him the way he wants to be moved, he's like, F it, I'll keep it pushing.
Facts. He's not looking for validation through, right? See, that's a beautiful thing to teach all kids, right? So,
right.
But if you're listening to this, teach your kids, like, their life is not dependent upon who likes or dislikes them. There's a little meme out, like, I like myself, your like is extra.
Right.
Like, Karen has been quoting that lately. I got to send you back to TikTok rehab. So got to kick that habit. But I like that, right? I like myself, your like is extra.
It
right?
is.
And I think that's a golden rule, a golden nugget that we really have to instill upon our impressionable kids. Like, their like, you got, like, your like is enough. Like, I tell, like, so me and my daughter, and those are great, actionable things that you do with your kids, and hopefully that the listeners can, if they're not already doing, start to implement that, right? And not only implement that for their kids, they can, because that was great advice for their own selves, right? But one of the things I talked to Mama, and it's along the lines about liking yourself, about loving yourself. So, we had this whole debate about who loves who more. Like, I love you more. Like, no, it's not impossible that you love me more. And then she's like, well, how you think that? Why you say that? Like, I got a tattoo, paying you homage. Until you get a tattoo, like, you never love it. It's all fun and games, right? But I stopped one day and I told her, like, you got to love you more. I said, I claim to, at the end of the day, it has to be you. And outside of friends, public opinion, things, you have to love you. Whereas when things are not going your way, or people that's in your circle is not vibing with you the way that you think they should vibe with you, your love has to be enough. Like, your love has to be at the beginning all and end all in your life. That's the first thing that I teach my daughter, like, because it starts and ends with you. You have to be a leader and not a follower in all aspects of your life, because what happens is you're going to get around some people, they're going to say and do some things that you don't agree with, and then you'll feel, so either you're going to feel outward peer pressure by them saying things, or you're going to feel inward peer pressure, like, I don't want to seem like the oddball out, so let me go along to get along. And you got to make that decision right then and there, because once you start going down that slippery slope to go along just to get along, long, you'll be doing that for the rest of your life, right? And looking back at my life, I've always been an odd duckling. Like I've always walked to the beat of I've always, right? Good, bad, or indifferent. I've always been. And then people funk with me just because they know like they get it right. They can be themselves. Like that's one of that. And people are like, what's your gift to life? Like people just know messing with me. You can be you. You don't got to be tough. You don't got to be smart. You can be however you is. I'm going to relate to you because I want you to accept me for me, as I'm definitely going to accept you for you. I'm not going to look down on you. I'm not going to try to talk over your head. I'm not, however you rock us, we going to rock. Because it's just like accepting that person. So I'm getting my daughter to, to that place where as it doesn't matter. And then she'll say something, right? And I think I give it to her a little bit too much because sometimes she gets to the point where she's a little standoffish. So I'm trying to find that balance. I'm like, look, Queen Sheba, like everybody's not at your footstool. There's a balance here, right? So we're definitely working through that, right? So I want to definitely touch upon that, what you had said. And the three things that, I'm really trying to impress upon my child and anybody that's listening, and what I'm giving, right, is not only for kids, like anybody, because we always talk about we want change, like whether you want to be an entrepreneur or not, no matter what you want to be, change got to come. So if you're not satisfied with your current life, change has to come. If not, you just talking, you just happy being unhappy, and you'll never, the only way that you're happy is that you're unhappy, right? You take solace in your turmoil. And for somebody to come along to help you to change, you're going to reject that because you're happy being unhappy. So please press fast forward or wait till the next podcast come out, right? Because nothing I'm about to say is going to impact your life because you don't want your life to be impacted. Not a problem, right? So I think anybody, this is one of these three things I give mama on a regular basis. I tell her she has to read at least 30 minutes a day. Right. You got to, and I'm not talking about, cause like she's big into, like the Harry Potter books, and there's somebody else that she's super huge on. It'll come to me in a hot second. Percy Jackson. She's really huge into those books, right? Like anytime she get birthday money or, she get, chores money, like I promise you, I'll make her save, a specific amount, but the rest she's ordering books. And she has her own little nook. Like she'll go get lost in her reading nook for hours and be content. I love that. But I tell her, okay, that's cool, right? But you need to read something that's going to be a little bit more impactful to your life. So for people that's listening, read 30 minutes a day, something that's going to be impactful to your life. Right? Knowledge change. And this is a quote I heard E.T. said, and I'm pretty sure he didn't heard somebody say it, but knowledge changes situations. Once you become knowledgeable about something, your situation starts to change. You will have a different outlook on something, right? The way you perceive something is different now. You know what I mean? So when you apply that knowledge, then your world starts to change. Like you can be aware of something, right? It's cool. You're just aware of it. But once you start to apply it, now everything around you starts to change. People treat you differently. People interact with you different. People can't just talk over your head. Like it don't happen. No. I see what's going on, right? No matter what you're investing your time into. So you have to apply what you're reading, right? And that goes to the second thing, implement what you read. Like don't read for the sake of reading. What happens is, I was listening to, I forget my man, his name is Neil Davis, and he dropped this doggone ebook, right? The same joint I sent you. And he said, I gave away, he said he had his mentors calling him up. I don't know how true the story is, right? But I'm gonna air quote him on that. He said he had his mentors call him up because he gave away everything. The secrets he said, and he paid $1,000 for this information, but he gave away the storefront for $47. And so his mentors was like, why in the world would you give everybody everything and then you would give it away at a discount price? He said, listen up. And this is really true. He said, a very small fraction of the people even finish reading books. Think about it. And I'm one of those people, right? I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like I get to the point, and I don't finish. And so my thing is to work on me, because I'm 51. So the moves I'm making now is for the 55. Not only will I will finish one project at a time and implement that project, right? Like just finish what you start, then implement that. It will change your life, right? Like it will literally change. If you just, I read it, like I'm gonna take this one nugget I got to, I'm gonna finish reading this book, but let me go implement that right now. And that one thing that you may go implement may be that game changer, maybe that life changer that you need, to move your life forward, to move the needle in your life forward, right? The third thing is if you, and this is for, and I guess the entrepreneur aspect, because I tell mama, like, either you will create businesses, whereas you can like manage them, like, a little bit here and there, or you're going to work for somebody. If you want to be your own boss, then you have to learn to be of service to people. Because there's only two type of people in the world today, that is producers and consumers. That's all it is. So either you're a producer, right? Or you're a consumer. I like to think myself as a producer, right? If I don't produce nothing, all modesty aside, me and my beautiful co-host, we produce a great podcast every week. You don't get no best of, you don't get, highlights, right? You get a new podcast every week, no matter what we going through. And I promise you, we go through a lot in our personal lives. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we talk about it, sometimes we don't. So I look at myself as a producer, right? And the more that you produce, that means what happens, people are going to consume, your message. People are going to consume, your services. People are going to consume your content. And then you learn how to monetize that. And once again, because of, you're reading something, you're applying that, you're producing. Now you're changing your life. To give those nuggets, and I know I'm talking a lot, so I'm almost done. I promise you that. But to give those nuggets to our kids today, right? I promise you, changes the future, changes the trajectory. Like, we always talking about the world needs to change. We need to do, we talk a lot. But if you just did one simple thing, change what goes on in your household, and you change the world. Because it starts in your house. The way that you talk to your kids, the way that the seeds that you put in, it starts in the house. What you expose your kids to starts in, like, I love my mother. I love my aunt. God bless and rest. Like, out of DC, Southeast with an F, born and reared, not raised. Cattle is raised. People are reared. We'll talk about that later. Look. And so my aunt understood that. Let me expose. I'm in DC. Once in a blue moon, we might take a field trip down. Right. But she understood, I'm going to take my nephew and her kids along with my mom, and we're going to see other things outside of Southeast DC. We got to see the posh neighborhoods. We got to see the monument. And it's nothing to me because I lived here. Like, it's nothing, right? But once she took me to it, and we took the tours of it, I felt a certain way because I had exposure to it. So what you expose your kids to, and I'm not talking about shit that's not going to move their life. I'm all for having fun. Not a problem. Have as much fun, but put some doggone education within that fun. If you're going to take them on a trip, make sure you can squeeze some type of, education within that. So not only will that great time be a memory, but they had a lesson learned within that great time. I think we're doing our kids a great disservice by not, exposing them to as much and different stuff as we can. If we just did that little bit, right? Now you're putting your kid on a different trajectory, right? And I got to give credit due. I don't want to bite nobody and not say anything. So Neil Davis guy funk with, right? He's like, okay, cool, not a problem. You got a dream car? Go schedule a test drive on a dream car that you're at right now that you clearly can't afford, but go test drive it anyway. So you're exposed to what that car feels like, right? You got a dream house? Go have an open house. Go to that house that you want so bad. Go to either go, go with the real. Although you're not going to buy the house, you're not even positioned to buy the house. At least go walk in it. So you will have that exposure. So like once you get the feel of something, right? That's what starts the need, the want I gotta have. It starts the burning inside of you. Now, like I said earlier, I may or may not get to my destinations. Knowing me, I'm going to get there, come hell or high water, unless God call me home soon. Not a problem. He probably need to laugh in heaven. Like, boy, you silly. Come on home. I need to laugh at you, right? God, I had things to do. It's quite all right. Your work was already done there, right? But the way I think and move and operate, I'm giving these same things to my daughter. You know what I mean? So I'm exposing her to the stuff she's like. And so when she goes, we had the time of life, but I promise you, she know a daddy moment's coming. I'm going to ask you some things. I'm going to show you something. And you be like, and I know I've been long with it, but she wrote me a card not too long ago. She's like, Daddy, I love you. And thank you for always bringing out the best in me. I told my wife, if I lay down right here and die, my job is done. Like, cause she see what I'm trying to do. 11 years old, and I'm talking to somebody right now that's having problems with their kid. I'm talking to somebody right about now that don't know which way to go. I'm talking to somebody right now that's like they baby daddy sucks. I'm talking about somebody right now that got a deadbeat mom. I'm talking to some. It's not a lot that you got to do, but you got to do something. And once you do something, I promise you, change starts by you doing something. But you got to do something. Because what you're doing right now, you know what I mean? As the world as it stands right now, right? We got kids that are doing phenomenal things. Your child too can be that phenomenal. They can be part of that phenomenal movement, but it has to start with exposure. It has to start with giving them stuff that's going to impact their lives as they get older. Sorry if I was uber long-winded.
Listen, shout out to his odd kids. Cause when you said that made me think of, my mom. We lived literally across the street from the art museum, and the art museum is still to this day one of my favorite spots, to go to. Like, I can literally just go to the art museum by myself on a day off and just be completely lost. Like, I've never seen it before. Like, they've got new pieces, and they do have new exhibits and things like that, but it's still one of my favorite places. It's because it's some nostalgia, reminiscent of a child, but she equally taught us to travel. And like you said, we are doing our kids a disservice because we really don't travel like we should, or expose them to things. Because the thought that it came to me was, while you were talking, was internet came out when I was like a freshman in high school. So we got to go back like 24 years ago. So you got to think anybody who's 24 and under is being raised by social media. And we as parents have allowed that. And
Facts.
We have a responsibility to them. Because the thing is, our parents didn't have it. They couldn't put us in front of television because television went off at a certain time. And there really wasn't anything on the television to watch as it was. So, especially even to see us as Black children represented anyway. Like, we had a couple characters on maybe every blue moon on Mr. Rogers, and we had a couple characters on Sesame Street. Outside of DuckTales, Fat Albert, I can't really think of too many black cartoons or anything that literally represented us. So we really weren't allowed to watch television like that because there really wasn't anything on that we saw ourselves in. So we were forced to go outside and cultivate relationships and fall and hurt ourselves. So we got hard knock lessons that we're not passing on to our kids because our kids are unfortunately being raised if we allow them to. If you're allowing your child to be raised by social media, that is a fault of yours. But we have a responsibility to them to make them better and to make them see better. Because the thing is, if you're not paying attention to what they're paying attention to, you don't know what seeds are being planted in your children.
Right.
One of my favorite. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No. Because I was long-winded earlier. I got on a rant. Because we haven't batched podcasts, and so that was in me. I had to pull that out.
It had to come out. Right.
It had it. Right.
And it's funny that you say about that card that MJ wrote you, because when we hit 2,000 downloads, I made this whole video for TikTok and Instagram and all that. And my niece texted me, and she said, "Congratulations on 2,000 downloads. I am beyond proud of you, and it's an honor to watch you grow. Here's to many more." She's 14. And, and I'm realizing like what they see us, you and I, DK, as our kids are watching us grow into our fullest potential. And, really they are starting to see like all that groundwork that they do, all that grinding that they do, is starting to pay off. Like, it's slow, but now they're seeing it, and they're becoming aware of what they need to do. So it's not them, oh, they're just talking to be talking, or, oh, they just want me to be X, Y, and Z. No. I really do want you to be the best person you could be. One of my favorite questions you've ever asked me in my life is, and I was single at the time, was, when did you fall in love? Or when did you know love? And I said to you, when each one of my kids were born. And you were like, that's kind of an odd answer. Like, you've never been in love. And, we went down this whole rabbit trail about why I don't believe in falling in love and whatnot. But the truth of the matter is, I'm thankful for each one of my kids, because each one of my kids came when I needed something different in life. And, your thing about MJ is MJ saved you. And so
Facts.
When it comes to my kids, like, my daughter, I came in my daughter's life when she was 9. She was the same age as my nephew is. She was in 3rd grade. And to parent her to the point where she has 2 kids now, and to still be active in her life, even though her father and I are not together, she filled that maternal void that the doctor told me I would never have. Her kid, her losing her first child taught me how to lose a life, and how to lose gracefully, and how to step up as a mom. And like, I can never explain to somebody what that feels like until you go through that. I can't explain, like, having to get in the hospital bed with my daughter, because my daughter she was so concerned about everybody else that she hadn't even taken the time to grieve her own child. And to the point where I had to put everybody out, climb into the hospital bed, and just hold my child and let her scream, because nobody had taken that moment to let her as a mom grieve. Nobody had taken that time to just hear her. And that's something I fight for every day, is to hear myself. And I wasn't even doing that for my own child. And then here we are with Guy A, who is now 3, and he is, the absolute joy and love of my life. He is a complete nutball in itself. But just to even be so go from mom to grandma, to go from mom to Gigi, really, is an experience. And to watch my niece and nephew grow, and to watch, and they all came when my niece came My niece came like the month before my uncle died, and he was my favorite uncle. That's the one I had grown up with. So we were more like brother and sister. You know, sometimes he had to like play dad just because, you know, that's just how he was. We're a very close-knit family. And so, you know, sometimes he played dad, sometimes he played uncle, sometimes he played older brother. And so my niece came the month before he died. And then when he died, she became my focus. When my nephew was born, when your guy was born, my grandmother had just died. And so I literally was like getting off of a plane, coming home, and Crystal had him like, oh God, like within weeks. And then he became my focus. So they all saved me, but they all had to teach me something in a certain way. And so when my guy A came, that was another learning experience. And so as I, you know, now that I'm looking at them and I'm watching them grow, I'm like, I got a responsibility to make you the best human being, because I can't let what was put in me go to waste. And I can't let what God has put in you go to waste. And there's more to it than the TikTok likes and all that kind of stuff, because all of that is fickle. All of it could go away tomorrow. If the internet shuts down, do you know enough? Can you go pick up a book and read? Do you know that there's a library? Do you know that you got a library card? Do you know that you can do more than what you see?
Fact.
I have a TV in my room that's never even on. It's just there for show. It's just there for show. I'm sure if you turn it on, it works. I mean, I pay the cable bill every month, but I'm like, I'm at the place where they see it, where I used to have the TV and would be working on the computer, and they'd be like, why do you have TV on? I'm like, ambient noise. Cause I just didn't like the dead space. Now the TVs, I can tell you the TV in our house is maybe on 3 days a week out of 7. And if it's on 9 times out of 10, nobody's watching it. I don't even know why they turn it on. They like to turn it. It's just the white. They just like the sound of the noise, but nobody will be in the room with the television. The kids will be like, now, honestly, the kids have been outside a lot because the weather's been nice. And I'm like, listen, go outside, get some air. Go meet some friends. Y'all got a basketball hoop. Y'all got skateboards. Y'all got this. Y'all got that. Go outside, breathe some air. You don't even need to be in the house. Out. I don't even want them in the house anymore. And it's not because they're doing anything, but it's just so they can experience. They need some vitamin D. They need some sun. They need some, like, you can't be cooped up in the house all day.
Right. The only way to get life is to go outside. Like,
right.
You know,
like, go breathe in some dust. Go breathe in some dirt. Go play in the dirt. I don't care what you do, but just get out of the house. Like, I'm tired of being in the house myself. So, you know, I'll go out there, you know, and take the computer and working, and they see me working, and they'll ask me questions, or, you know, they'll say, hey, KK, can I ask you something? And I'm like, yeah, ask me. And then, you know, I'll put the computer down, engage them, and go back to working. Or if I start to listen to their conversations, they're getting quite philosophical at 9 and 14.
Don't they though?
They're getting real philosophical. Like, you know, when you start to hear you come out in them, that's when you know, like, that's like when you're like, okay, gold star. So they are listening. Like, I hear how they negotiate between each other, or they'll say things like, I don't like the way that what did Gavin say the other day? I don't like the way that you're engaging me. I died. I was in the house and I heard it, and I had to go run upstairs to my mom, and I said, Gavin literally just told Leah, I don't like the way you're engaging me. She goes, and I was like laying on the floor cracking up, because I was like, I said, they're very articulate, don't get me wrong, but for him to verbalize that, I don't like the way you're engaging me, had me in stitches. I was like, oh my God. Then I heard my niece say to somebody, she goes, I just think you need to have you know, it's a tough conversation to have. I said, I said, now y'all really biting the podcast. Talk about it. You need to just have the tough conversation. I said, you know what? Can't cancel your subscription to the podcast. You're not listening anymore. But it's interesting that, you know, that they really are picking up on what we're saying to them, you know, and that, you know, that I just love who they are and who they're turning into. I really, really do. But we as parents have a bigger responsibility than letting social media raise our kids. We have to get better at it. We have to.
Yeah, you definitely said a mouthful there and whatnot. So, yeah, I think we just said all that we could say about that, right? Like, you know, we're living in really, I guess, precarious times, trying moments, right? But, you know, we started off talking about the Bible and then choices, and we went down this rabbit hole, happily so, right? But I think, you know, somebody that wants to be somebody, that knows somebody, will agree that, you know, children are the future. Bottom line, flat out, right? And so we can still help shape that future, right? We can't dictate it, we can't control it, but, you know, we can help shape that future by what we do with our kids while they're still impressionable. And stop giving our kids over to devices to raise them. Stop giving our kids over to certain cultures to raise them. Like, we're still the parents, right? And so let's not give off, like, I think the greatest thing God ever gave me was the gift of parenthood, right? Like, when I tell you the greatest gift he ever gave me was like something when well, I used to drive my wife crazy. because I would look at my daughter, right? And I'm like, wow, I'm her father. I'm really her father. Y'all sure about this? Do y'all really know me? Like, I'm not, I went through a whole, like, I think her first 2.5 to 3 years, I went through a shock that I was her father. You would think I'd have got used to like her, that's daddy. But I'm looking like I gotta say so. The way that she looks at things, I gotta say so in the way that I got a hand in her. That, do you know the responsibility to know that you're helping shape someone's viewpoint and you're putting it out into the world? Like I had to really, catch myself and not let that moment just run me over. Cause I would look at all the crud I've done in my life. I would look at all the bad decisions. I would look at all the moments I lived for me. And was thinking like, y'all sure y'all want me to? Y'all sure y'all gonna give me this responsibility? Yeah, I can't tag nobody else in. Yeah, I don't got a stand in stunt man. Yeah, it's me. I want. Okay. So when I say mama saved me, it saved me from falling back being that person. She saved me from just living life for moments. She saved me from just, living for me, being selfish. Now I'm just the most selfless person when it comes to like everybody, right? Like I give, like, and it just, cause it bleeds off from her to my wife, to Karen, to the podcast, just to people. And I feel so much, I guess, better, right? So the more that we interact with our kids give us the gift of back, of being, knowing that we're doing the right thing. And this is what I mean, right? Because Karen was like how she said she had to run downstairs when she heard, her nephew say something and quoting her, when she heard her niece quote her, right? So me and mama get to talking, and then like it's like I'm talking to myself. Like we're having a discussion, and I'm trying to, and then as point counterpoint, and I stop. Now, of course, I can counterpoint her to death because I'm 40 years her doggone senior, so she doesn't have that much experience in life. But to hear her clearly articulate her emotions, her feelings, what she believes right and wrong is, why should she be allowed to dress this way, like this? What, like, I'm like, oh, okay. And then I stop. Like, cool, not a problem.
Because we never had that opportunity.
Right. Because I used to hate when my mom would say because I said so, and she would look at it like it's the biggest disrespect. Because I'm like who is you to tell me you said so like that? Like I know you're my mother. I love you, respect you to life, but still, who are you? We can't have. But it's old school because that one was given to her, so she gave it to me, and so I didn't want it. So there was friction, and so as soon as I was blessed enough to have a child, the first thing I never hit my child with because I said so. I never hit my child with because I told, like, no, we'll talk about it. Don't get me wrong. I love my baby to life, but she is, young lady. And let me push this button and see what daddy do today. She has her moments, right? I promise you she has her moments. But in the same token, I give her enough room to be able to talk about her feelings, to express herself, to maybe navigate here and there, to shape here and there. But the rest of that is all you, right? And I know we've been uber long-winded. I know we didn't beat this dead horse, got, tons of glue. But, the subject is still important enough for people that's listening. The greatest thing that anybody's been blessed with is that if you have kids, right, is that of being a parent. Because we get to shape. We get to help. Don't think that we're helpless. Don't think that the times are bleak. Don't think that times are bad. Don't think that, society is going to the dogs. No matter what the media and news is conditioned or made to make you feel, to condition you, just look within your household and you can start right. And this is my nugget. And you can start right there. You can start implementing. You can start sharing. You can start having, as my co-host was saying, I told her not to say no more. You can start having, or I asked her not to say no more, pardon me. You can start having those tough conversations, those uncomfortable conversations that our parents refuse to have with us. Now we get to have them with our kids, right? Now we don't tell them to shut up, go somewhere and play, get out my face. You get them. No, don't give them the same thing that your parent gave you. And now you think you okay, but you're a fucking head case. Nah, loving your child will heal your childhood traumas. I'm going to say that again and I'm done. Loving your child, helping your child to grow, pushing your child to succeed will heal. Woo-hoo. Will heal your childhood traumas. I guarantee it. That's a DK stamp of approval, right? I'm talking from experience, people. I'm talking from like there was parts of me that I was not. Parts of me I hated. Parts of me I was ashamed. Parts of me I was afraid of. And God was like, let me go deep down this rabbit hole, right? Me and my motherfucking wife fought like cats and dogs, and I'm gonna give y'all something to laugh at. I'm gonna tell you how crazy your lovable asshole is. I wanted a son so bad I picked out his name. And his name, I don't know if I ever shared this with the podcast. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Stop laughing because you know this story. They don't know the story. But anyway, I was so gung-ho with having a son, and I picked out his doggone name. And the crazy name that I wanted for my doggone son was, slight drum roll, I wanted to name the boy Hero because he was going to save the day. Crazy, right? Like me and my wife had it. Like she like 5-6 months long, right? It's too late to push the baby back. The baby coming. And we not speaking weeks on end. We go to the doctor's appointment, the baby healthy. But then she was like, and then we never, because we wanted the birth to be a surprise, the sex to be a surprise, right? And so I'm like, forget it, find out what it is, you know what I mean? And so as bad as I wanted, right? I want y'all to hear me, as bad as I wanted a son, God gave me what I needed, which was a daughter. So that killed the argument, right? Like I couldn't name her Hero. So my wife gave my daughter her first name, which is Marley. Middle name is Jada, which I named, right? And so with that being said, and when she finally got here, and like I said earlier, like it was up to me to shape and mold and guide her life. Me of all people, me that's been down to the gut of me, that has done so wrong, so much, me that has made mistake after mistake, me, right? Me, like I get to, and so once she got here and we got to going, like, okay, cool. Like it wasn't as hard as I thought it was, right? But in doing so, all the hurt, all the shame, all the paranoia, all the, many times I cried without a tear coming down my face, like in me helping her navigate life, I get to do what? Like I told you earlier, I get to heal that broken child that was inside of me. So parents nowadays and whatnot, like if you haven't been doing so, like look at your kids like the gifts that they are. God granted you the greatest gift that you could have, and that is the gift of parenthood. Do yourself a favor and use that gift to its fullest. It will pay you repeatedly long after you think that they can't do nothing else for you. Right? When the kids, write you little notes and whatnot, when you hear them quote you like, because my daughter's so famous about just, oh God, Dad, another one of those talks. Here you go, some motivational. Here you go. But then again, you'll get a card or you'll hear her having a conversation with somebody else, and then she dead in their ass. Like, and you like, like it's worth it, right? It changes not only their life, it actually changes your life. And we all need a little bit of change.
Shout out to the odd kids who are raising amazing kids. It's your girls, that Thorny Chic, Karen KK Rose, alongside my co-host, the lovable asshole, DK Walker. DK, tell the people bye-bye.
I'm not telling the people nothing, man. We didn't talk for an hour and 20 minutes, man. If I'm not going, I'm going to say see you next, or see you. It's a possibility. I'm going to say what's up later. I don't know what I'm going to say. Next podcast. The next one.
Next week, Wednesday. Same time, same bad channel.
Next week. Peace.
This episode of the Love Is podcast has ended, but please be sure to subscribe for more great content on sex, entrepreneurship, life, love, and how to get through the BS of it all. And don't forget to rate and leave a review so we can continue to bring more of that Thorny Chick, Karen KK Rose, and, dare I say, the lovable a-hole, Mr. DK Walker. See you on the next podcast.